retail management, what is it? So it is a customer-focused interaction for market offerings. So market offering can arrange from product to service. So product means something tangible and service means something intangible. So retail management covers interaction with product to service. So there are some important retail trends we can take a look at, which is covered by KPMG, one of the very famous accounting and consultancy. So they figure out 4 different trends. First of all, retail management can be evolving, so which can be covered by one of the important retail management curriculum called consumer behavior and service. And trend 2, 3, 4 can be covered by retail analytics, for instance. So trend 2 is purpose moves to the forefront, align with social media. So all the social media data may inform you how you can manage your retail scene. So that can be driven by retail analytics for social media. And also, maybe cost-saving effort would come into play. So that can be handled by retail analytics for multivariate modeling. So if you study retail analytics, part of the degree program, you can be familiar with multivariate modeling. So I'm gonna touch on what are those later. And retail analytics for user experience may help to design your customer or user experience in a very nice way. So as I covered retail analytics and consumer behavior a little bit, I wanted to kind of briefly overview how Texas Tech Costa Rica retail management curriculum help you to be a leader in retail management. So as you notice, this program designed to graduate within a semester, and I am teaching retail analytics and retail consumer behavior in service. So I'm currently teaching 2 main courses, and it's very important courses, and I'd like to have a little bit sneak peek of what I'm doing in class. By doing so, you can get some insight about what retail management entails and how you can get excited about this field. Is there any questions so far, folks?
Yes, I have a question for you, Dr. An. I'm wondering if you could tell us what you studied and where you studied, because I would love that background. It would be really interesting, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so I earned my PhD in marketing at the University of Rhode Island, and I taught marketing courses at the University of Rhode Island, and then I became an assistant professor of marketing at Nichols College in Massachusetts, and right now I joined Texas Tech Costa Rica as faculty member. Actually, I earned my master's in interdisciplinary history in Texas Tech Lubbock, so I kind of came back to my hometown to teach what I'm passionate about, so I can easily connect to the people who are passionate about Texas Tech, so I'm really excited to be part of the big team. Thank you for your question. Is there any other question from folks? All right. So in the curriculum, we are expecting our retail leaders can learn problem solving and communication skill. So 2 courses I'm teaching can be examples of how we can help students to be a leader. So consumer behavior in service is application of human behavior and consumer insight to service management and retail management. And retail analytics help students to be familiar with social media, multivariate modeling, and user experience in a variety of format. So student can be familiar with R, which is open source, and it has lots of library you can utilize in the field. And there are so many tech companies that using consumer behavior and retail analytics. For instance, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Netflix and Google are heavily on analytics and consumer behavior. So Amazon can be a good example. We can kind of hold on for covering what retail management entails. For instance, so one of my course in consumer behavior and service, like we covered like what like retail management entails and how consumer behavior inspires service management. So service management can vary from grocery store to doctors. So if you go to grocery store, it has a variety of like product assortment. So rather than focus on like people's labors and skill, it tends to cover the products and tangible stuff itself. On the other hand, it gets changed, but if you go to doctor's office, like you want to check with doctor who has like specific MD degree and specific skill sets rather than like solely focused on products itself. So service can be like varied in terms of product dominance versus service dominant, depending on the like what dominance in the service field, like the skilled labor are really varied. So that's what like consumer behavior and service captures. And like in my course, like I like to like bring some insight about how we can manage different service setup. By doing so, you can be more competent manager in retail management setup. And analytics is one of the things I'm teaching in retail management in Costa Rica. So like I want to highlight 3 types of different like courses I'm teaching in my retail analytics course. So in social media data, so social media data can be really varied in terms of format because it can be video format or text format or like who spoke to whom. So there are multiple information you can utilize. And if you have like all the raw information, like you can get all those things for free with our library, and you can make some topic modeling. So you can make some clusters of words and you can find some topic. For instance, like right now, COVID is really big thing. So like what people talk about COVID, maybe people talk about automation. That's a new opportunity, or people talk about some economic inequity because maybe COVID may have skewed effect to the specific population over the other person. So you can just kind of like make some groups of the topics by doing some modeling. So social media can help you to understand what kind of topics are going around, and you can make some like distributions of the topics and make some frequency of words like based on like back of word techniques. So like if you study analytics, like all the social media data can be your insight and you can be more competent retail manager. And the other thing you can learn in analytics is multivariate modeling. Multivariate modeling means you are doing like modeling with at least more than 2 variables. For instance, if you are like a little store selling ice cream, like you want to see what makes ice cream sell more. Like maybe a higher temperature would affect ice cream sales. So that's kind of really simple model of multivariate modeling. What affects what? So maybe temperature would affect the sales. So those kind of like relationship can be seen as a modeling and visualization. That's what analytics can help people to deal with like big data and like other insights into more strategic insights. And the other thing is analytics for user experience. So Google Analytics and other like technology company offer like user experience in terms of logs. For instance, if you push specific button, like that button, you pushed it is coded as 1. You didn't push it, it will be coded as 0. And duration of time you watch a specific post can be measured in our numeric format. And analytics help you to get all the user's journey and what was preferred by what. So those kind of insights can be all mingled in the analytics. So all the numbers and what you saw can be turning into insight, and you can be more competent manager in the business world. So if you learn like all those things in the class, like in my class, every single class is divided into 2 parts. One is more like lecture part, like I've done right now, and the other half of the part is student-driven learning. So this is like one of the example of student-driven learning. So imagine student, and you are a manager for Starbucks HQ, because Starbucks is really shaping interaction between a customer and the tangible goods and intangible services. and what innovative initiative you can drive based on consumer behavior in service and retail analytics. So like we kind of covered consumer behavior in service and retail analytics. So those cups are example of what Starbucks wanted to do more innovative way. For instance, Starbucks has multiple locations across the world, and the mug cup I brought here today are been there mug. So as they have the multiple location, every single location offers specialized Starbucks mug, which help them to build global presence and kind of reduce some kind of complaints about why global brands are kind of invading mom and pop store. Because if you show some global connectedness and presence in a visualized, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing format, people have more friendly attitude towards Starbucks. So that's one of their initiatives. So yeah, hey folks, so I want to ask some people who are thinking of studying retail management. So what kind of insights you want to apply to make another innovative initiative like Being There Mug? So people can be shy in my class. So most of the time I collect a simple essay about how people would think about what they learned and how they can apply what they learn into the in-class activity. So I collect all of them, and they can be like at least 40% above percentage of total grade. By doing so, people can learn something and apply something every single class. And also, like my pedagogy is like really mentoring, because if you get some input as an in-class activity every day, you can get like who learned what and who missed something. So I can always update my course material and to go together. I feel like that's one of the advantages to be a student in Texas Tech, Costa Rica, because I only have like dozen of students. So it's really easy to interact and get to know people in person. So I can always design like new material in like geared toward the students group. So I like as a faculty member, it's like really exciting to teach class and interact with students. So yeah, so I was really happy to share my experience as an instructor. So I'm really hoping some of you can be on campus and we can interact together. So is there any question?
I have a question. How do you
Yes.
see retail management benefiting from the data that social media channels gather through ads?
Oh, that's a great question. So uh, one of the applications we can easily find would be Twitter data. And in Twitter, let's say people keep talking about specific brand like Airbnb. Airbnb had a huge issue about some ethical concern about discrimination, or they had a really big hit because of COVID. But like they switched the model, and like people's kind of perception of like Airbnb, it's turning into more like safe travel, even though it's a kind of small domestic travel, and you can enjoy very boutique hotel or boutique hospitality experience. So if you use some like analytics technique, or like, let's say Airbnb as a keyword, you can get all different kinds of data. And one of the technique you can utilize is sentiment analysis. So every single word can be turning into like signaling specific emotion, sentiment. So that can be like word vector, and you can demonstrate like, let's say like right now, like people's emotion toward Airbnb is pretty positive, or people are very disappointed about Airbnb. So you can keep monitoring how people think. So in brand theory, like people's association about specific brand is a brand, but it's really hard to measure. But thanks to social media data, we can really measure how people think based on like multiple media from Instagram to Facebook. So that was a great question. Thank you.
I have one more question. Sorry, I
Yeah.
love retail management. How does the pandemic and like the slow and in-person interactions at a store impact retail management, and how does a company work towards preparing their customer to a more online purchasing behavior?
That's a great question. So we had like two different continuum in the consumer behavior and service. So product heavy service can be like traditional grocery store type of thing. So like pre-COVID, like people wanted to experience the grocery experience itself, but on the other hand, like right now, people wanted to get the job done. So that's one of the reasons online experience, just like get the grocery done through online delivery, got really popular, but it can be changing. So for many retail managers, like they have to have brick and mortar channel and digital channel and hand in hand. And on the other end of the service spectrum was like skill heavy spectrum, which is like doctor's appointment and medical services. And because of COVID, people are reluctant to see a doctor because of the infection risk. So there are emerging fields of telemedicine and some kind of WebMD type of services. So like even though it's a traditional hospital setup, they are almost like required to have telemedicine setup because of the situation. But regulatory measures are always coming into play. Like some state would not allow them to have a telemedicine legally. So those are all the like puzzles they have to solve it out. But I feel like if a person who are very innovative and an entrepreneur, like retail management is one of the fields they can jump in because it really helps them to open their eyes toward how to design interaction with technology and emerging opportunity.
Can I ask a question too? Mine is more about the state of student recruitment and admissions from sort of a retail perspective. Now, the customer is the prospective student. And today, Texas Tech is offering this all-day event online, which before would have been on campus with everyone interacting. How do you see this impacting people's willingness to commit to a university if their only touch point has been sort of an online interaction versus being able to go to the campus and have this event live? And do you think that if it's a positive, do you think that this is something that this will forever change the way people visit and, sort of check out universities? I mean, I know you were an international student and you studied in the United States. Maybe you didn't run around to a lot of universities before you set foot on that one. But I think people, if they're going in their own country, they're used to visiting and having that face-to-face interaction. So I'm asking a lot of different layers of questions. So answer what you think is relevant or what you remember of the question.
Yeah, so it definitely affects how people choose their like higher ed selection because it's easy to access like top-notch university like Harvard, MIT, like open source type of like curriculum. But if they want to earn the degree with like true interaction, I feel like still like local university or like direct interaction with faculty member would matter. And also for the channel, like I noticed that students don't actually checking their emails like regularly, but they keep checking their Instagram and Snapchat. So I've seen so many admission officers are really active on those social media preferred by students. So for the first year student, I feel like, or the prospective student, we may have to be a little bit more active about their preferred social media channel. Because in the previous college, I was one of the members who are running student recruitment in digital marketing. So for MBA, we had some ads on LinkedIn because in LinkedIn, everybody's searching for a job and qualification for MBA would be one of the things they can pursue. But for college admission, we are pretty active in Instagram and Snapchat. So I feel like channel management and content management can be really important in the field. And yeah, how to make more engaging interaction to people would be very valuable. And although like VR, MR type of new technology investment can be one of the key, but like still we don't have that point yet. So still some personality and good fit with student would be very valid. And yeah, so like, that's a great question. We have to answer all together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. One last question. I got this question on social media. What does a student that would like to enroll in retail management need to bring to class to be successful? I think this person was in our soft skills webinar, but couldn't tune into this one, so she wanted to follow up.
Oh, that's a nice question to answer. Yeah, so I think, yeah, creativity and problem solving skill are really important in retail management, because retail gonna have so many changes. It's gonna expedite because of COVID. So if a student feels like they're very creative and like program oriented thinker, like retail management is one of the thing they can jump in, because compared to like traditional marketing, which tend to focus on product management style of thinking, more like tangible entity management, retail management is gearing toward more soft skill based service economy and experience economy. So that's why like a student with like strong communication skill and problem solving skill could be very successful in this area. Does it answer the question?
Yes, I will write to her and let her know. Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any more questions? Also, a reminder, we have Adriana Loria here with us from Student Recruitment. If you didn't have a chance to be at our student recruitment session earlier, this is a great chance to get those questions answered. It can be anything about scholarships, about the recruitment process, any testing, or you can ask for the fee waiver to submit your application. And if you don't want to ask a question right now, she wrote her email and our phone number on there, so you can always reach out to us there and receive more information through those channels. So I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes. If you want if you have any other questions, please let us know. If not, we will close the session.
Well, I do not have any questions, but I wanted to thank you for your time. So.
Oh, appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us as well.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
Any other questions? Well, like Juliana mentioned, I wrote our email in the chat, so you can also write to us if you have any questions, if you would like more information, and of course, you can also call us and we will be happy to help you in anything we can about the recruitment process, scholarships, retail management. It's a very nice and very complete major. So, more questions?
I have one more question for Dr. On, actually. It could also be for the recruitment staff, but I was wondering if having a retail major would be complemented by also getting a minor in business. Would that be something that would be helpful?
I agree, yeah, because I studied marketing and I started my degree from business major, and I went through interdisciplinary study at Texas Tech, so that really helped me to enforce my management information skills and the analytical skill. So business major really helped them to understand accounting, finance, and organizational behavior, something like very like general idea about business. Is if a student can major in both, I feel like they gonna be very competent in the business world for sure. So that's gonna be really good track we can promote.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And I also understand you have an MBA too. And the other, could you maybe tell the audience a little bit? I know you studied in South Korea, you studied, I believe, in Europe, in the United States. Maybe can you just talk about the power of global education, maybe your experience a little bit, how that has informed you, both personally personally and professionally?
Yeah, like I'd be happy to talk about my experience as a global learner. Yeah, I would consider myself as a global learner. Maybe up to maybe 20-year-old, I never been abroad. I went to Seoul National University. That's considered like top notch in the nation. So I was really happy student to study business. But I noticed that if I want to be a leader in business, I had to speak some English and have some analytical skills. So I went on a journey to earning some degree and getting some experience. For instance, my first stop was like master's in marketing management at EDEC Business School in France. So there was English education in France. So I was able to work with Salesforce.com, IBM, and Whirlpool. They're a US-based company, and they let us do some consulting services on them because of alumni network. So I noticed that if you jump into a university which has a global network, that's a really golden because they're gonna bring you great experience in class and internship activity. So I experienced the global company, how they are powerful and technology shape the world. And then I went back to Korea. I worked as a research fellow for a large entity. So that was like a federation of Korean industry. So I worked with like Samsung, LG, and like I was kind of representative researcher for like their businesses. So like one of the things I was involved in was like powered with presidential council for South Korea was how to design like Korea as a nation brand. So that was really relevant topic who got educated in France because France has a very strong national brand. So I learned a lot about like what's really important in branding. And then I went to Texas Tech for my interdisciplinary study degree. So I studied like pedagogy and stats mainly. So I got really competent about being an educator. And then I went to University of Rhode Island for my marketing PhD degree. The reason is that they let me teach while pursuing my degree. So I studied how we can humanize AI system for marketing and business. So, and I learned how to do qualitative research and quantitative research. So I felt really confident. And while teaching at the University of Rhode Island, I was able to be a consultant for small business development center in Rhode Island. So I was like doing some consulting work with my students. So my student could get some internships and some experience with the collaboration. So experiential learning and global learning already helped me to be a better person. And as a Texas Tech alum, like I'm really hoping to help my student to be a global leader because like being a non-native speaker can be a big strength because you can bring some diversity and motivation to the organization. And I'm really hoping my student can be a leader, and I want to be the part of the big change in movement.
Thank you so much. That was so great. And that also touches on one of our added values at Texas Tech Costa Rica, which is that we have small class sizes so that students have the opportunity to really get to know their professors. And like Dr. An said, you can develop these great relationships that can sometimes turn into internships or into even better learning experiences. So thank you so much for that. That was really, really important. I don't think we have any other questions. I do want to invite everybody to stay tuned in. Up next, we have our student life and work and study workshop where our student services manager, Gabriela Chandi, is going to talk all about what being a Red Raider is at our campus, student organizations, and I know all of you are interested in learning more about the work and study program. That will start at 4 p.m. Yes, 4 p.m. And yeah, I will move everybody to the waiting room so we can prepare for that next workshop. But thank you so much, Dr. An, for all the knowledge and the really cool insights. I know I'm very excited about it, and I'm sure everybody that tuned in is too. Have a great rest of your, I don't know if it's night or day in Korea, but thank you so, so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.